Hello! Welcome back to this invigorating multi-part series on the review of Tome, Terrain of Meaty Erections. Now, usually in my reviews, I have sections where I talk about certain things, character, story, art, animation, things that piss me off, conclusion. Well, today I'm going to combine story, art, and animation into one big garbage bag and dump it into the things that pissed me off category. Now, to go over certain things that, pissed me off each episodes, I, go into each episodes, really get into it. I might get a little nitpicky, but I honestly don't care. I need to finally get all of this off of my chest, and Siri is going off. Okay, let me just throw my phone across the room real quick. There we go. Alright. And I just need to get this out once and for all, because for years I've hated this series, but I could never fully construct words on how much I dislike this series until now, and I will do it in a way that can probably teach you where you can learn off of it. Alright, but I'm not going to go full CinemaSins and go over every little thing for that sweet ad revenue. No, I'm going to talk about points real quick about things I don't like. And I won't be like, whoa, did Raccoon talk like Randy Savage? Oh, well, what a fucking retard. No, I'm not going to do stuff like that. I'm actually going to talk about actual art-related things and animation, writing too. But, I'm going to do it from an animator's perspective because, I'm actually an animator. I will go over, things I like too, but that's not much. Alright, here we go, episode 1. I forget what it's called. Before I begin, I just want to point out that animators Eoraptor, Chris O'Neill, Psychic Pebbles, and Spaz Kid themselves have reviewed this series on Newgrounds. So yeah, there are some things that I'm going to take from these guys and expand upon. So if you want to see what they said, you can click on the ratings tab on the Newgrounds comments section, then go all the way down and in the back to the 0-star section. You'll probably find more of their reviews there. But I do want to expand on a few of them. Kurfer replied to some of them that he wanted the animated series his way. But the thing about wanting to do it your way is that when you do something your way and doing it for yourself, then you have an audience of one, which is yourself. And as Egos said, it's still a piece of shit as a whole if you do it all for yourself, your way. As I was working on just another MMO, I realized that it was really trash and garbage, and basically I was only doing it for my self-pleasure. So I'm taking the back seat with that, so, putting it on the back burner for now until it's actually, I've thought it through and it's actually enjoyable for everyone. That's what I want to do with it. He replies to a lot of the animators, if you don't like it, don't watch it, which is starting to sound like a similar artist I know. Wow, all of this critique and I haven't even gotten to the actual episode yet. Alright, so, here's Spark Notes for episode 1. Okay, you should just pause anywhere after the first sentence of this episode. Yes, we're in the episode now. And I just want to point out real quick that voice actor who plays the narrator, she also plays Misty from Pokemon. And there are a lot of popular voice actors on this show too. And you may think to yourself, how did he get these people? Sponsorship money from Newgrounds. Because it sure as hell didn't go into the animation. Now I'm going to be pointing out timestamps so you can, pause it and stuff like that. Oh yeah. At 129, Alpha says that Curb always screams his attacks, even though Curb didn't really scream at all, unless, well, it's about time is the title of one of his attacks. Alright, I'm not going to point out the time, I'm going to have it in, the top left-hand corner, right there. So you can just see what timestamp I'm referring to, too. Okay, so this is where the story hits its first major story flaw, and that's, it feels like we're watching the middle of a story, as in it just throws us in the middle of the plot. It's not like there's some new guy we, the audience, can self-insert to, so we can just be as confused as him, and we can catch up on what's happening alongside with him. No, the characters are going full steam ahead, and we, the audience, have to piece together what's happening like a big, jumbly puzzle. That's one reason why I've watched this series the regrettable amount of times I have, so that I can rewatch it and grasp what the fuck is going on with this mess of a story. Also, you feel kind of cheated because you don't really get to see how any of these characters developed and became such good friends. Okay, you saw that shit, right? Nylok just introduced himself and said he's returning and whooshes in like we're supposed to know this guy, and he always acts like that. And this is where Kurfer name drops his name, Christopher, adding just a little bit more to my evidence and claims of self-insertion. Here, at this point, there is an animation error. If you can disregard the dreaded gradient background, there's a white bar to the right. Sure, it might not be as hard to see it on a computer, but it's bright as day on a TV, which you have to consider when making your animation for all audiences. Oh wait, this is Kurfer making it his way. I guess that way involves animation errors. Alright, here at this point, there are two things that piss me off pretty bad. First, let's get back on the subject of unintentional racism. First of all, you know how Flame Girl has just some slightly tanned skin? And you're also probably thinking, wait, if that's Flame Girl here, then why does she look like that there? Well, she gets a design change in Season 2. And why is her skin more orange? Well, she's Filipino. And we have to really, hit the nail in your head that she's Filipino. So Curb just made her orange, I guess. It's just a theory. Strike one for unintentional racism. Let me explain my strikes. You only get 3 strikes until it's actually racist. Next, we are introduced to Raccoon. Now, he is a raccoon who acts like a loud black person, or in this case, a coon, in the racist sense. Strike 2. But Zach, Devin Mack chose to speak like that. Actually, that's where you're wrong, because that's how Curb wrote him at first. You see, the thing is that originally, Devin was only going to be on for 2 episodes. Episode 1 and short 1. But Curb wanted him on for more episodes, and it was after that a deal was made which that Devin could write his own lines. Either that or TV Tropes is lying to me about this. The second thing I want to point out are the backgrounds. You see how pixelated that all is? Nope, that's not acceptable under any circumstance.
But it's just a video game. It's supposed to be pixelated.
Well, that's just a lame-ass excuse, and it looks super lazy. Curb prefers way, lazy and full of animation errors. In addition to being the black guy, Raccoon is also just references out the wazoo. That's really all his character is. Ebonics and obvious cheap references. A third thing I want to point out is that I forgot, this is our, first instance of actual animation. You notice how Rocky was on the ground and then got up? That was actual frame-by-frame animation. Every other animation so far has consisted of this tweening, flapping mouths, recycled animations of emotes behind text boxes, and pre-animated sprites. Now, I know some of you will probably say there was a lot of hard work put into these sprites, and I would actually agree with you if it actually was, but most, if not all of those, were tween too. And they're used everywhere in this series so much as a shortcut, so Curb could just shit out these movies once per month. But even then, that's really lazy. Mainly because that Shadow and Sonic animation I did, the 13-minute one, that was made in only 8 weeks. If I had only 4 weeks to make an animation, sure, I would definitely take more than a few shortcuts as well. But I would definitely try to make sure I fit at least one really good animation in there too. And at least try to be a little bit more expressive. And I definitely wouldn't use as much tweening and gradient shading, which isn't really even a shortcut. It's just a really dumb decision that I have no idea why he does. Also, shading was black. Nobody's really pointed that out, but that's another thing that really gets me mad. You never shade with black. It's not natural. Or even if it is natural, it doesn't look appealing. And now we got this guy, Green Cunt. All his character is just cursing and being a little bit pissed off. Now, I know that the big animators have already talked about how shit this character is, but I want to expand upon that a little bit. Like, you could have easily had him say other words. Hell, even in the Fact Bubble special, he said the voice actor didn't even fucking cuss. If he didn't cuss, then why the hell didn't you keep it in? It would have been funny. It would have added to the character. Either way, even if the bleeps were like a fucking requirement for some reason, then why don't you just use different sound effects? Anything other than that same fucking bleep over and fucking over again. Do you get my fucking point? Okay, let's continue. I just want to say that I notice how disgustingly skinny Flame Girl's waist and stomach are. It just looks really weird and off. Remember how I said Curb himself is a really bad voice actor? Well, that was one of the lines I was talking about. It just felt so forced, like he wanted people to quote that through the ages. And now Flame Girl says, "What kind of scrub battles without a grid?" This line annoys me because it looks like battling with a grid plays out the exact same way as battling on the outside world, just less environment, so no battle will ever be interacting and using their environment to their advantage, except for like one time. That's another thing I want to talk about. The battles in this, they're all bad. It feels like every one ends with it just coming down to who can hit harder or dumb luck. We don't get to see much creative use out of the powers except for maybe 1 or 2 times, and even then it's just either wasted or just dumb. And you think, oh, well, the choreography has to be good then, right? And you'd be wrong, because they fucking suck, because they all use sprites as well. And even when it does use actual animation, it's either ripped off from shitty anime, or he just has another animator do it for him. Usually Twisted Grimm, who is just a wannabe Shad man, and yes, people like that exist. And I know he ripped this off from some shitty Mega Man game I don't even care about, but being able to only do attacks and stuff on a grid would have been pretty fun to see animated, and probably would have had some cool strategies and power uses. It could have been fun, but no, this series hates fun. Now, this part confuses me because Alpha just gets sent into coma space because he gets beat by one random dude. Well, either way, we get another major shit point in the story, and that's the virus. Oh, I'm sorry, how could I forget Forbidden Power? This thing single-handedly diminishes all narrative stakes in the first episode. This bullshit takes away from any character progression Alpha gets action-wise. As in, it just takes him up to max power instantly. Why? I don't know, it just fucking feels like it. Either way, it just feels like our character is getting more power by convenience. And you might think to yourself, "But Zach, you like One Punch Man, right?" Yes, I do, but Saitama at least worked for it, even if it was in a comical way. And then when he uses his forbidden power in episode 5, he just gets knocked the fuck out, which is a load of garbage because it just regresses Alpha back to square one in terms of his development, power-wise. At least Saitama is having a longer and longer and a bit more, harder time fighting his enemies. But flip-flopping through weak and strong like this just feels like it's going nowhere, or Curver doesn't know what he's doing. This is mainly because of another fault the show falls into, which is trying to do way too fucking much in a limited amount of episodes. Also, one thing annoys me about this virus is that it uses the same fucking sound effect for speaking over and over and over and over. Like, I get repetition can make your art have some meaning, a la The Crow by Edgar Allan Poe, but you gotta remember the rule of 3. For the life of me, to this day, I can't understand why this exchange was made to be so rapey. I mean, when he says, to wipe out some hackers, it feels like it was supposed to be funny. I have no idea what the fuck that was, and it was just utter shit. Now, when Nye says that line about violence in video games, it's supposed to be funny, but it really shines light into how fucking stupid the final conflict in the finale is. This side of Alphas feels like something out of a shitty anime, maybe even a shitty MMO anime. Pick your poison, which one is worse, Tome or Sword Art Online? Alright, this also feels like a forced meme and also gives emotional whiplash to the whole fight. Another problem this series often encounters, and trust me, there's a really fucking bad instance of this later on. Now we get to the next major shit points in the series.
The virus hurts you in real life.
Not much needs to be said other than that anything that can correlate to this if you die in the game, you die in real life trope, then it's instantly shit. Alright, I hate this shot because it just screams, hey dudes, look at how casually cool I am. The animation in this exchange between Flame Girl and Alpha just feels like something out of a late night Adult Swim TV show thing. It just looks uncanny is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so there was an ad that played right after Alpha said, oh hey Curb, when you get here. And if the episode ended on that instead of one of the most cringe-worthy screams I have ever heard exit the human body, then I would have been rather content with that. And now we get some credits music, actually sung wonderfully by Blake Swift. He did a really good job with this. And written plus sung terribly by Kerbifer. That's another thing I want to point out. Kerbifer thinks he can sing and write music, and as a student of musical theater, it's absolute shit. Me and my brother both bleed our ears out at the same time whenever we hear it. Oh yeah, and shorts are part of the series, so I'll just do those too. First, we start off with no narration, just text. I guess Misty was just too busy catching Pokemon that day. This short was supposed to expand upon the lore. No, not the world lore. Who cares about that? Nobody. I mean, like, some lore about our two favorite hackers. I guess it's supposed to be like how Ruby does that World of Remnants thing. But you want to know the similarity between these lore shorts and Ruby's lore shorts? Nobody gives a shit about either. To me, lore is completely useless unless it's like important to the plot. I hate it when shows just take way too long to set everything up. I mean, like, just get on with it. We'll learn shit as we go. Alright, now here I really don't get this sexual orientation joke. Like, is it supposed to be politically progressive? Either way, inserting politics into a cartoon is always a big no-no. Like, no matter what. Alright, now, we continue on, and why the fuck was that guy so insistent on knowing? Like, does he want to suck that dude's virtual dick? What the fuck is this game rated anyways? You can't say fuck, but you can egg people on about their sexuality? What if your character is wearing a skirt? Could you just flash your skirt to any little kid you see? Obviously, this wasn't thought through, and this game would probably be rated M in real life. I'd imagine that the online would be as bad as a game as TF2, or probably, and the most obvious answer would be Second Life.